everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Kushbu. So today I have Ruchika with us. She is a Microsoft University recruiter and we are discussing the traits of a perfect candidate. So you can listen to the full conversation in this video. But before that, I want to tell you all that we have two other videos which are first how to answer the tell me about yourself question, and second how to calm yourself down in an interview. So if you are interested in those questions also, you can check out my other videos. And now let's hear the conversation.
So hi everyone, my name is Ruchika and I'm a recruiter with Microsoft. I've been a recruiter for about 9 years now, so it's been a fairly long time me interacting with the student community, and I think it's become my passion now because I think a couple of years back I myself was a student, and at that point in time I really needed guidance, and unfortunately there wasn't any. So this is just a small thing that I've started. Even on my LinkedIn profile I share stories. I'm a storyteller, and I only became a storyteller just 1 year back. I realized that I have a knack of telling stories and sharing my experiences in a certain way which will help and empower and inspire the student community and job seekers. So this is just a small attempt. And on the work front, well, I work with Microsoft. I work in the university recruiting team, so my day job involves interacting with the students and identifying talent to bring them into the organization.
That's great. I'm really excited to gain all the knowledge and insights from you. First question I always have when I am talking to a recruiter, that what in your experiences you had interacted with a lot of students, what are the key traits of a student, of a perfect candidate for a company?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I also get asked this a lot when people reach out to me on questions around what does it take to get into Microsoft, or, can a person like me ever get into Microsoft? So I'll be honest. For me specifically, I don't really determine, anybody as perfect and imperfect. I think that does not exist in my dictionary, because if there was something like perfect and imperfect, I'm the most imperfect person to be in Microsoft, I would say. And I also feel that students want to always showcase their perfect selves, right? And that's good. Whenever I interact or whenever I interview people, they always want to talk, or they always want to put their best foot forward, and it just comes naturally to them. Everybody wants to look great. And what happens is, when you're always constantly focusing on your strengths, on your achievements, you want to kind of impress the person in front of you. You forget to be yourself. And that's something that, I always am on the lookout. And again, this is something personally that I really love it when people bring their authentic self to an interview. And there are various ways, that you can be authentic. One of the ways that again, something that I really look out for is the person being vulnerable, right? And vulnerability is actually not a weakness; it is a strength. How do you show transparency in the way you're coming up in an interview? Are you always only focused on the good that you've done, or are you also talking about the journey that you've had, right? And there are various ways to even showcase the journey. If I'll give you an example. For example, if I interview and I've not interacted with anybody, it's just an hypothetical. For example, if I interview a person from a tier one, say a tier one college, say any of the IITs, right? And the person is telling me, oh, I'm a topper, and I'm a 9 CGPA, and I've done this coding, that coding, and I'm like, wow, okay, great. But then when that person starts talking about the journey that he's had, to get into the place where he is, I think that really talks about the grit, the resilience that person has. And say, for example, the person is from a background where he did not even have resources to study. He probably was his father could have been a farmer, and he really worked so hard. And when he's telling me that part of his life, what he's doing is he's actually showcasing how strong he has been, even in the midst of uncertainty. He kind of fought to get where he is. and that's something so beautiful. So I think it's very important that you be vulnerable. Don't just focus on your strengths, focus on the other aspects of yourself as well. And I think along with vulnerability, the other thing that I really love about again, this I think this also comes from students, is curiosity. The kind of, I think, curious nature that they come with is just beautiful. And I think if I were to give some advice, always make sure that you ask questions, you're curious, because a curious mind can never be satisfied, right? So one of the things that you should keep in mind, even when, say, for example, if you're interviewing, always make sure that you ask a question towards the end of your interview. That shows that you're really eager to know more about what's happening on the other side. And I know that I for sure always, whenever I interview, or whenever I was interviewing for 4 years back for a job, I used to end the interview with a question from my side. And it was not a random question. I used to think about what is it that I want to know about, say, the team, the organization, the values, the culture. It could be anything. But think from this perspective that you have just like half an hour, 45 minutes with this person. You can talk about anything, right? So just make use of that and be curious, even in the interview process. That's my take on that.
Definitely, I totally agree on that. These are some great insights. Most of the times when we are like interacting with any recruiter, like it is always very intimidating for the students, because we are like always thinking ki, what if I did something wrong? What if I messed the things up? But as you said, you can be vulnerable, you can share your stories, you can share your difficulties, and not just the how everything was shining in your life. That was a great insight, and it really like calms me down that okay, I can share that these are the difficulties I face and I'm learning, and it's a journey. Yeah.